Go to the recording tab. Right, I don't want to go to the recording tab because I don't want to stop it. And then I'll press start the webinar in about 30 seconds. I'm so impressed with this platform. Every time I log in, they've done something to improve it.
Nice. Where did you find it?
In one of those lifetime deal groups. I spent quite a bit of money on it, but I've bought it outright forever. Yeah. So there's no recurring subscription, and it's paid for itself already by the amount I've used it. Right, going live to attendees in 7, 6, 5, 4. See if anybody pops in. Hello. Normally takes a few seconds. Let's check if I'm recording. Yes. Hello. Hi.
Hey there.
Hi there. We got quite a few. We have. Just to let you know, you can see me, hopefully. If you can, you should be able to find a little chat window. It says type your message here. And if you want to just let me know that you can A, see me over here, and B, see Oliver over
I'm checking
there. I don't know if you're over there on their screens. But if you just want to say hi.
Oh, I can write as well.
Yay. Oh, look at that. That's yeah, hooray. It's so good. So just a couple of things before we begin. If you don't mind turning off your, your I don't know, Twitter or email or whatever, and if you got the capacity to give Oliver your full and complete attention, that would be lovely. The second thing is we're going to hand it over to Oliver shortly, and he's going to go for however long it takes. Let's say he goes for 30 minutes or something along those lines. And then at the end, if you would like to ask some questions, then go for it. The way that this platform works, it's called Big Marker. And hopefully above the chat, you should see something that says Q&A. Please write your questions in there. This chat is just for saying things like, hi, like that. And the question and answer bit is if you've got any particular questions. So, for example, if you see Oliver do something and you want him to go back and repeat it, just stick it in there. And hopefully I'll get to it. So, all right. So, hi, Oliver, how are you?
I'm super well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Thanks for coming on. This is one of those WPBUILDS podcasty, webinar-y type things. Oliver came on the podcast 2 minutes ago. I published the post. I automated it. So if you go to the WPBuilds.com website, there is a podcast with Oliver right now. Just came out. So this sort of double 1-2 punch kind of thing. And he's here because he runs, I'm not sure what the structure is, a company called WebARX, which is I was going to say WordPress security solution. It's not WordPress. It just so happens it works very well with WordPress. And he's here to show us about how it works and, the ins and the outs of it. So shall we get started, Oliver?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so if you want to share your screen.
Sure. Let me just and like that.
That should work. Now, before Oliver cracks on, if you guys wouldn't mind letting me know that you can see his screen, because there's very little point carrying on if you can't. So I can. So let's just see. Yeah, Miko says I can. So we'll take that as an endorsement. By the way, just before Oliver begins, because this is browser-based, if anything goes wrong, your screen drops out or the audio dies, just click refresh and you'll come right back in. So don't worry about that. Just hit the refresh button as many times as you need to. So, right, Oliver, tell us about the company that you've set up, WebARX. Give us a little bit of history of the company.
So, yeah, it kind of started, let's say 5 years ago. I was actually a front-end developer back then. And we were running a digital agency, which in a way had similar issues that a lot of digital agencies have today. Issues with plugin vulnerabilities, different kind of component security in general, nowadays you build a lot of web applications on frameworks like WordPress and Joomla. I remember the very old versions of Joomla even, and yeah, it's actually the same with Drupal, Magento, and so forth. So as an agency, we had this issue that over time, when we have developed different kind of web applications or websites to our customers, we also needed a way to kind of have the overview even after we have kind of handed over the project. This was the reason to understand if there's, something going wrong on the website. Is it, uptime issues, or if the site was, listed in any funky places like, blacklists and all kind of places like that. So at one point we just realized that, just keeping a list of websites we have developed in Excel sheets isn't really, solving the problem. So at first we started to create ourselves just a list which did kind of a simple checks if the site was mentioned in Google Safe browsing, and there's different places like Norton, and there's also some websites where hackers are kind of bragging about what they have defaced, like Zone Age, and places like this. Very simple things to monitor. And in one point, we started to also tweak actually our customers' websites in a way that they would have more kind of strict configuration settings, how people can log into the websites, if the registrations are open, going up to the point where we checked how the server configurations were, if directory listing was kind of a problem a few years ago when a lot of information was disclosed like that. And around in 2015, we decided that, hey, we are not the only ones who have these issues. So why not focus our knowledge that we already have about the issue and start building something that other agencies can use as well?
Is this what you do entirely now? Have you sort of dropped?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, this is the business. WebARX is your business. How many people are working on it?
So there's 5 people full time, and there's also 2 or 3 people who work kind of on a need basis, like designers or a few additional front-end developers and so forth. For example, this kind of UI you see, for this kind of things, we don't have the need to kind of hire one person for a whole time. So we have kind of contracts for these kind of things.
They did a good job, though, whoever you contracted, because the UI is smashing. I really like it. I have to say, I'm not a user of WebARX. I have not really used it, so excuse my ignorant questions if they come. So introductions out the way. We've got the idea that you've got a heritage in WordPress. This is a sort of SaaS product that will go with Magento and Joomla and Drupal and WordPress and PHP, basically. Do you want to now begin the process of sort of showing us around and what all the menu items do? And I'll field any questions if and when they come up.
Sure. So as you said, it's not only about WordPress. The main issue we are trying to tackle is component security among all PHP-based web applications. So this means we also support Joomla, Magento, Drupal, all the popular content management systems, and also frameworks such as Laravel, Symfony, and so forth. So the whole idea basically is to kind of gain a complete overview of all the websites you have. So the product itself is mainly focused for digital agencies and freelancers who, on an everyday basis, develop websites to their customers, or who just have multiple websites to manage. So this is the first dashboard view you will get when you log into the platform. Here I have filtered out all our demo sites, which we just use for demoing. So basically what you start seeing is the uptime. So we have we basically do uptime checks right now. I think by default it's every hour. previously it was every 5 minutes, but we are testing it by the need of the users. Many of the users already have some sort of server-side monitoring products in place. So right now we are doing it on an hourly basis, which is kind of an alert for you when the site is actually going down. And the other thing is that we check for all kinds of blacklists, which you can already see on the dashboard. So we check if your domain is mentioned in any blacklist, such as Google Safe Browsing or Norton Antivirus, or there's I think there's Spam Assassin or Spam Cop and all these kind of different places which you can where you don't want to be, let's say. And we also check for mentions. So mentions is something kind of different approach, but what we do basically is check if your domain is mentioned in some of the popular hacking forums, or let's say like the Zone H page, where some hackers are kind of bragging about the sites that they have been defacing. So we basically check if your website is coming up in those kind of communities.
That's kind of unique, I think, isn't it? I don't know of another company that's doing that.
It's unique. I mean, in this kind of way, sometimes you might get an alert about a mention, and you could understand that basically, well, you don't have any logs in the firewall because no one has actually targeted the site yet, but there are some flags for you that show that there might be a campaign where you are involved, or your site is being listed in a target list or so forth. And then we check for SSL, which is can be said it's should be essential nowadays, but believe me, it's not. A lot of people still don't really while people have enabled HTTPS with TLS or SSL, the issue still is that a lot of people don't force it, and a lot of people just or a lot of websites just don't redirect to HTTPS by default.
Right.
So we check for the configuration side. So basically, you can enable HTTPS, but if a person just can bypass the HTTPS, then it doesn't really work well, right?
Yep. Good idea. Yep.
And the other thing is that we check for security risk, which is based on the website or based on the platform like WordPress. It can be plugin vulnerabilities, other kind of software or component vulnerabilities like PHP, Apache, jQuery, and all these kind of things. And then there's this indicator which shows if the web application firewall is turned off on the website or not. So I'll just open one of the sites. It will give me the uptime monitoring issue because the site isn't actually real, just for demo purposes. So it's going to show you like on an hourly basis when the site was up or down. In this case, it's been down for the whole time because it's not the real site. And it also shows you how many attacks have been blocked in the last week. And you can also go back in time and see what have been happening in the previous week this year. And then, you will start seeing monitoring results when you scroll down. So here you will start seeing critical issues such as if the WordPress installation version which you are running, in this case, it's 4.9.8, which has known security issues. So it has some vulnerability, it's been reported, and it's publicly known. So this is a critical issue, so you should update the WordPress installation as soon as possible. So you can also see another improvement here, which should be made, which is that the site isn't really redirecting to HTTPS. And additionally, we check for security headers, which are like more modern security practices that you should adapt on your website. We check if the PHP version on the website is kind of visible to the public. We also check if there's any PHP errors on the website, because in some cases when a lot of hosts have turned from let's say PHP 5.6 to PHP 7.2 or something like that.
Yep.
Sites have been gone broken, and as a website owner, you probably know that you don't visit your own website every day, or your customer website every day. Depends on you, but yeah, usually this can go undetected. So we check these kind of things as well. And we also check for the cryptocurrency miners. This is not so popular anymore, but in the end of the last year, there was a huge outbreak with CoinHive and different cryptocurrency miners. Then blacklist mentions. We also check if the domain is expiring, so you don't miss it. The same thing with SSL certificate expiration. As you remember, I think a month or two ago, there was a lot of US government sites that had this issue.
Yes, during the shutdown.
And we just check as well if there's any firewall detection, in a way that if the site is blocking or not serving very obvious exploitation methods. And then if you scroll down, you can set notifications for all of these things. All these monitoring things, you can basically get notifications to email or to Slack. So you can basically put it to a development channel and so forth.
Can I just pause there a moment? Are we the send notifications went down for? Okay, so you can select not only the things that you get emails for, but you can select how often.
Yeah, so you can customize the way you actually get the notifications and where do you get it. You can even set the alternative email, which you can then basically send the notifications to. And when I go to settings and go to notifications, then here you basically can even set global settings for notifications for all the sites that you have.
Okay, so you don't need to go into every site one at a time. If you've got 100 sites, you can just set it all up in there, and then that will default across the whole platform. Okay, that's good to know. This is really nice. I think it's really a phenomenally beautiful UI. That screen there is kind of where you land, I guess, when you log in.
Yeah, exactly.
And it gives you an overview, and anything that's not a green tick is something to notice, and they stand right out. So that's really clear.
So it's a clear indicator that you should definitely take a look at that. Okay. And then you will, beside of monitoring, of course, you will start seeing different tabs here, which is, for example, firewall tab. Here you can see by detail all the requests that have been blocked on this specific website by our firewall. So you can see like SQL injection attempts. These are basic things because it's as you can see, it's a local host. So these are like demo, but you can also kind of block WP scan attempts. So you can block like README enumerations and different plugin exploitation methods. So our main firewall is having a OWASP rule base. So we have adapted the whole firewall engine runs on different modules. So one of the modules is OWASP. It's the top web application vulnerabilities, which we have basically adapted the rules to block this kind of exploitation methods. But on a daily basis, we also add plugins and software-specific rules, which some of the vendors call virtual patching. So in this case, let's say you have this WordPress installation, which is vulnerable for 9.8. I don't know by my head what's the actual vulnerability about right now, but basically, if you have this critical issue here, our firewall sends rules automatically via API to your sites that have this software version installed. So in this case, the vulnerability can't really be exploited, but the critical issue stays here until you actually patch the software or update the version.
So essentially, you've got a whole suite of things in that firewall which are default, automatic. They're on when you press go, when you toggle the firewall on. And they're going to go on.
Yeah, I will dive into the firewall more because, as I said, we just yesterday launched a pretty big update on the platform. So I will do an introduction first time for you guys as well.
Great.
So additionally, you will see uptime logs. So you will see, on what date, what kind of status code was given by the server, what was the issue, what was the response time back then, what was the content length, and so on. So you can check all of that information, and you can actually see all the activity logs. I can show from this site. One sec. So you can basically see all the activity logs about Agnes was updating a post, next generation WordPress security. You can see all this information. You can see failed logins, like someone was testing to log in, or you can see all of that information as well.
Just to pause you there.
Yeah.
Are you able to take action based upon the activity logs that we've just? So, for example, we saw that the failed login attempt. If we were to decide that that's happening too many times, this person needs to be blocked. Can we block the IP from that screen, or do we need to go elsewhere?
You can block the IP from here, but you can also. WebARX has a WordPress plugin as well, which you can, you use the WordPress plugin to connect with the platform. Mm-hmm. So in this case, the plugin actually has login rate limiting. So, if someone is really, and it's the same thing with the firewall, if someone is really abusing the site, let's say you can even set how many attempts they can do in a second or in a 5-minute period, and you can just give them IP ban or, do all just things like
ban
that.
them or temporarily ban them, something along those lines.
Yeah. And then you can even see all the software that is running on your website. So you can see what kind of like PHP version, what kind of plugin versions, and you can even this is a demo site, but you can even update the actual plugins from here. So you don't need to log into every site specifically. But
that's neat. I didn't realize that feature was in there. That's really cool.
Yeah. So for example, if you can see that it's a vulnerable, then you just click here and update. Right now it's not connected. So. But basically, well, I don't want to show you the live data, but
no, but that's fine. I think that's okay. But you click a button and it just updates. Marvelous.
Yeah, and you can also see the change log of what's the actual update about from here. So let's say Akismet anti-spam, they just have this new update. So you think that what is it? So you can check on the change log lookup from here. It will show you all the information. And and then you can also see the users, and you can also set custom firewall logs per site. So I will now go into the firewall itself. So this is the update we actually put live yesterday. This is now shipped across the whole platform for all, PHP sites and all WordPress sites and so forth. And what you basically can do here is pretty cool. I mean, you can start creating your own rules, which kind of is limited by your imagination. So let's say you want to create a firewall rule that would match like a URL, which would, let's say, WP-admin. So in this case, you can write the rule name like WP-admin, let's say, access limit. And in this case, you can choose the action, what's going to happen. And you can select log, block, or redirect. So what this basically does is that if you log it, then the traffic goes through the WP-admin URL. But if you check block, then it will be blocked by the firewall. And if you select redirect, then you can select the URL where the traffic will be redirected.
Got it.
So in this case, you can basically create a rule, and then you can create a whitelist rules, which I've done already here. And you can then basically create a bunch of rules, assign them to modules. Here is like, you can see the type module here, and you can then add different rules inside of a module. and then this module can be assigned to a group of websites.
Nice.
So let's say, and it has a lot of functionality in a way.
Yeah.
So let's say you have, you're developing websites and you have not had enough time to, I don't know, do the responsiveness for all Internet Explorer browsers, let's say.
Yes.
You can basically, what you can now do is you go to Firewall Rules, you create new rule, you create match request headers, and then you in the header value, you basically add a user agent, and then assign redirect and redirect it to a page where you say, hey, you're using an old browser,
Yeah.
use this one, and it basically has kind of unlimited ways how to use it.
Yeah, can we just look at those options a minute? So what have we got? We've got the option to, so we've got a rule title, then we've got whitelist or not.
Yeah, you can basically, in a rule title, you write whatever you want here.
Whatever the name is, yeah.
You will create your own rule, let's say security header Internet Explorer. Then you select match request header. So user agents are the values in header. So you basically in regex write the Internet Explorer, whatever version user agent here. You need to basically Google it and just add it here.
Yeah.
And then and you can even actually add multiple values. Like let's say the header is that, and let's say something else is this, and then you can basically match a new rule. And if that gets a hit from your website, then you can basically choose what will happen. So if you just want to log how many people are using Internet Explorer, then you can select log. Or if you want to block them directly, you can select block. Or if you want to redirect them to your custom website, then you can just use redirect and add the URL here.
That is mean and powerful. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can also select the parameters, like a lot of sites have like page equals something, and you can basically create a parameter rules that if page equals that, or if there's two different things that equal something, then you can also do the same thing, redirect, log, block, and you can you have a lot of options. By that, you can also block all bot traffic, for example, like Python crawlers, all these kind of things. And we are going to start writing more and more our own modules. So then can start selecting. So if you're not feeling so comfortable about writing your own, then you can just stick to Essential Plan, and we will write some of them there. But if you're really feeling that you want the full functionality, then you should go with a Pro plan and have access to basically unlimited firewall functionality. I think you don't really see any. I don't think you see that advanced firewall engine for WordPress on the market at all.
No, I've not seen this before. You get what you're given mostly. But this is amazing. I could imagine spending days in that screen just messing about.
Yeah, but it's something that people often say that I want to use WordPress plugin and do, I don't know, login rate limiting, for example, or I want to use another security plugin for this additional functionality. But well, what we have always said, that the less WordPress plugins you have, the best, because every WordPress plugin once in a time gets outdated, and that's where the issues are coming from.
Yeah.
And this is also the case with security plugins. So instead, adding all these kind of functionalities into our WordPress plugin, let's say, we basically have remote firewall kind of engine where you can basically create all these functionalities here, and you can do exactly what you want.
It's very powerful, I think.
And this is shipped to all your websites, whatever group you are, putting.
So you made a little sort of, it felt like a folder. I can't remember what you called it. Something beginning with C. You make a cluster or something. I can't remember. And then you put the rules inside of that thing, and then you deploy that thing to the sites. So you could have one set of firewall rules for one site and another set for another. Okay.
You can basically set firewall rules specifically for one site, but what you can also do is you create a group and you will add all your WordPress sites in this group, for example, and then create a bunch of rules, add these rules to this group, basically. So in this case, for example, if you're having some very specific things that you want to block on Joomla sites, you can create a group of Joomla sites and add a bunch of rules there. And as you can see, it's like we have built it around the whole HTTP protocol. So you kind of can do, whatever you want.
Yeah, it's really cool. Thank you. That's great.
We are releasing a blog post about some of the examples how this can be used to do really powerful stuff. So I can send this to you later as well.
I can imagine there'd be a good community. That's a real good focus for a community, isn't it? Like, what rules can we come up with? Let's share them with the WebARX community and see if we've got a solution that we can deploy for everybody. That's great. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going. This is great.
And we will be very actively, writing some specific modules for people to just use as well. So, and we are actually behind WebARX. We are also creating a community of security researchers, and in the future there might be coming out some premium modules built by some known security researchers who use our engine to basically, which you can use on your websites. So there's a lot to talk in the firewall. I will probably ask one of our security researcher to do a training about how to write your own rules and all that as well. So we'll keep you posted in the future as well about that.
Very cool.
And then reports, which is very important when you're actually a digital agency or a freelancer. So let's say you have 10 websites which you have built for your customers. So your customers not always understand why someone would try to hack their website, because they're so small, and why there's nothing to win for a hacker, but attackers, but they don't always understand that nowadays it's bots who are trying to basically target anything that's online, and as soon as you're online, you're a target. So to make it easier for you as an agency to describe what's the actual purpose for security on even the smallest websites, we have created a tool where you can basically just select a website that you want, select week, let's say February the 1st, and generate report, copy URL or download report, and you will basically get a PDF file which includes all the information
nice
happening on the website. So you will see all the information about how many attacks have been blocked on the site, what kind of traffic it was that was blocked. You will see the things that all been passed, which have been done well by you, that these things are actually passed, and it shows green ticks to your customer as well. You will see that, hey, there's a domain expiration, so you can give this to your customer and say, hey, you need to update your domain real quick, because this is an issue. And you can also see that, hey, there's a bunch of outdated plugins. In case you keep it updated, then of course you should take care about that before you send out this report.
Good point.
And additionally, as an add-on, which you can get from the billing option, which is a white label feature, you can basically add your own logo to the security reports.
Right.
So basically, if you're an agency and you want to put your own logo there, you can basically send out reports with your own logo, so your own customer sees that, hey, my agency is really good. They're giving me security reports and stuff.
Does it send those automatically to the client, or must we download them and then forward them on ourselves?
We are adding this functionality pretty soon. But right now you would need to kind of generate them on need, kind of. So we are already having this in the backlog, so you can basically set a alternative email, which where you can set weekly reports, let's say.
Yes, very nice. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's a big feature, isn't it? It's just, even if you've really done nothing this month and the firewall has done its work, you haven't had to. It just looks good to the client. Every plugin's up to date. We've blocked this and that has been taken care of. Exactly. Yeah, it's great. Really good idea.
And that's there's a lot going under the hood, but this is your let's say the battle station, or the big dashboard that you are using to actually take care of all of your websites and whatever. If they are running on WordPress, Joomla, Magento, you don't want to hop around different products and try to put the puzzle together from the information you get from different tools, but you want everything in a single place. So this is what WebARX is all about. So we are really tackling and focusing on the component security issues. As you have seen, we are also doing security audits on software that our customers are using and reporting this to developers. A few weeks ago, we were also disclosing some information about the vulnerability which we found I think it was a month ago.
I saw that.
Yeah, we are doing active research, and our main focus is to actually kind of bring the better security overview for digital agencies and freelancers. So I hope this is kind of
that's been amazing. The one thing I'd say is stick around, because I've got an offer for you, so we'll get to that in a minute. But this being a WordPress kind of podcast, so if I have WebARX, is it a simple case of logging into the WordPress installs one at a time and uploading the plugin and putting in some kind of license key? Is that basically all that needs to be done, or is the configuration on the WordPress side as well?
Why not tell you, or why not show you?
Let's do the show. Yeah, good idea. All right, that's great. That's the best way.
I don't know if you guys know the service poopy.life. I always use it. It's my favorite.
It's so good.
Yeah. So let's just generate a quick WordPress install.
It's going to take seconds. It's that good.
And done. It's really good.
Yeah.
And then, just take the URL, elegant flamingo. Very nice. And you on the dashboard, you will add new websites right here. You just click here. You can bulk add multiple websites, but you can just go with one as well. Add websites. Now it's taking a few seconds. Okay, it's success. Now it's already doing the first scans. So it's already checking some of the things like uptime and so forth. And then it says install WebARX plugin to activate the firewall. So you just set a plugin, and you can use auto installation. So you basically in this case, there's like password here, and I'll just check demo. And we do it all securely. We don't keep any of this. We don't keep any of the credentials. We only use it to basically auto install the pre-generated zip file to your website, which basically includes already the API keys and everything that's connected.
Oh, right. Okay, so you don't even need to do that. Okay.
Yeah, so we kind of automated all that.
Okay,
so
that's lovely.
We can install plugin. You, of course, can do it manually. So in the manual version, it will give you the zip file, which you then, install on your
Marvelous.
website. So this is...
And that's it.
And that's success. And basically, we'll just refresh. And it's all done. So you already have this information. There's some security headers missing. HTTPS is not redirecting. The PHP version apparently is is not the latest on the latest version, and it's visible. You can see the firewall logs, uptime logs, activity logs. You can see the hardening options. So you can basically, what you can do is, disable plugin theme edits. You can move logs folder in a different location. You can disable WP scan from getting some basic information, disable user enumeration. You can hide your WordPress version from WP Scan, advanced fingerprinting.
Whoa, there's loads more.
You can, yeah, you can enable reCAPTCHA on your post comments form, login forms, registration form, password reset forms. You can even check if you want reCAPTCHA version 2 or version 3. So here you have to put the public key, which you get from Google.
Yep.
Additionally, you can then also set like enable firewall, which is for the it's the whole firewall engine. You can block the IPs if it's being blocking request from this IP for number of times in period of minutes. You can disable some of the HD access features. You can add security headers automatically. You can prevent default WordPress file access. You can block access to debug file. You can disable index views. You can forbid proxy comment posting. You can prevent image hot linking. You can even write custom HD access rules here. And then you can even select where you want HD access rules. There are some of the rules that are written to Apache HD access or to the Nginx file, which are mainly for some very specific things like, disabling the directory listing and things like that. But you can basically turn off the HD access or these features, and the firewall actually runs even if you don't have like HD access file at all. And then, you can create your own whitelist. So here's like some syntaxes, how you can manage the whitelist directly from the plugin. There's login protection, which means you can basically set up two-factor authentication on your WordPress users. Let me check, it's a bit slow. But I can also show that here. So if you go here, and if you now go, I have to refresh this first. But basically, if you go to settings, security, then you will see WebARX here as well. There's some configuration options for the WordPress. So under login protection, you will have automatic brute force banning. You can rename the login page if you want. You can have logon hours even if you know when you want to log in. And you can have two-factor authentication, which you can connect to Google Authentication app or to Authy, and you can see which IPs have been blocked. Well, there's a lot to kind of see. And you can even enable cookie notice.
You take care of that as well?
Yeah, so you can kind of have the cookie notice bar, and you can customize the look of it as well. So let me just quickly save that, and you will see.
Where is it?
There
it is. That's nice. What a nice little afterthought. Just chuck it in for the sake of it. Somebody somewhere has probably got loads of plugins for that, but there you go. It's thrown in.
Yeah, I think the less plugins you have, the better.
Yes. Yes. Oliver, this is amazing. It's like you've come out of, well, nowhere is entirely the wrong thing to say, but this is everything, isn't it? You've worked incredibly hard. So
I think our main focus is to kind of solve this issue once for all. We don't really believe in the plugins, let's say WordPress plugins also that say that they are kind of, once you install it, then you'll never be hacked. I mean, security is more of a process, not like a solution that you can buy. So we just give you the tools in a single place, which gives you kind of a better overview, what to do next and what to keep an eye on. So I think this is much more effective than just using some WordPress plugin.
It's really impressive. Speaking of impressive, I'm going to press a button, and that button is this button. And hopefully, if I press that button, you will see a little pop-up, which you can dismiss or you can write down or what have you. But very kindly, Oliver has offered people who are attending this webinar 50% off. Oliver, please interrupt me if I get this wrong. 50% off the first year of whichever account you choose to take up. And if you go to webarx.com, I think it's /pricing, you can see the different tiers. And the coupon code for that is just WPBuilds all uppercase, no spaces. So just to reiterate, 50% off the first year. And you can go and check out what the pricing is. And notice that there's a little box at the top of the screen where you can type in how many websites you're currently managing, and the pricing is reflected based upon how many sites you're actually bringing across. So that's very cool of you. Thank you for doing that. And I've got some questions, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, I'm just going to read them out. So Jean-Francois Lagarde, he's written several. The first one is, you mentioned that you can block an IP from the activity log tab. How do you do that directly from the tab? So we're trying to block IP activity in the log tab.
Yeah. So it's not really under the activity log. You would need to go to the firewall settings and then do that from there. But I would suggest you kind of to go to the site and then basically, let's say, I think it was here. So yeah, what you can do is basically go to the hardening settings, and you can do it from login protection, for example, and add the IP here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, mark that as answered. I hope that answers that question. Another one from Jean-Francois. Regarding the uptime monitoring for each site, do you still have to plan to set it back to 1 minute or 5 minute intervals, or will it stay at 60 minutes?
So yeah, we are looking for a better solution to make it more flexible. I know a lot of people don't really need every 5 minutes or for every 1 minute. It can be, so for some, we remember some servers even had issue that when they were hosting 5 or even like 15 or 10 sites in a single shared host, then I remember those pings were kind of heavy for some of the less resource hosts. But yeah, we are looking actually into expanding that frequency. So we are currently talking to different service providers who have been doing uptime monitoring for years, and we are looking for a way to actually integrate something more advanced into the product so we can still keep the focus on the actual security and on the firewall side.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Right, Terry asks, can you update all the plugins that have an update available, or just the ones that have a specific vulnerability?
So you can basically, well, in this case, yeah, you can update any plugins here.
Right.
So yeah, it's really up to you. I know sometimes it depends on how many plugins you can update. It also gives you an option to just bulk update everything.
Okay, but, so there's a button. Okay.
Yeah, but then again, the main idea is to kind of use it on a situations where you really need to do it fast, and if the plugin is vulnerable. Yes. I wouldn't suggest to just use the bulk update because in many cases websites might have some custom plugins or custom settings. So we don't currently do the check if the update is breaking anything, and we don't revert to it. So yep, it should be used carefully.
There are other solutions for doing that, aren't there? But I can't bring myself to press the bulk update button. I just click and then click again, and just there's just too many potential nightmares if you click bulk update. I think that's a personal preference. It's very handy if you've got 2 or 3 sites and you can keep a track on that. Yeah, fine. But thank you for answering that. Right, let's find another one. Okay, Jean-Francois again. Is in the WebARX dashboard, what is the users tab?
You just see it currently because it's an admin account, so you wouldn't see it by yourself on your account. But
you've got a slight insight there.
Yeah, but to be fair, actually, when you I think it's going to be in a few months when we are going to introduce a team management feature, so you can start creating or giving out accounts to your, let's say, employees in the agency and so forth as well.
Okay. Jean-Francois says thanks for answering all of his questions. I think we've got all of his at least. Anyway, right. Okay, so the next one says, how do we get, this is Joseph. He says, how do we get Slack notifications?
So you either go to the bottom of this page and just click here. It will run you through the whole, whole thing.
There we go.
So go to settings, and then it will, ask you to basically do that here.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty clear. Go into your settings, notifications, and there's a big white Slack button. Great. Yeah. Alex says, can I get a copy of the video? I want to show it to my... Oh, yes. I want to show it to my boss to convince him to buy it. Yes, is the answer. If you do not receive an email, an automated email about the video being available, then what I would recommend is that you email me, which is admin@wpbuilds.com. Give me a day and I'll get back to you with that. So that's fine. Great. Yes, sounds good. Right, Josef again. He said, it's not so much a question, it's an observation. I don't know what he's meaning by this, but he says he finds the Slack integration to be vague and confusing. So
okay, I will just quickly go through that again. So basically what you do is, this under the settings in notifications, you can select what you want to get to your Slack channel. Let's say all of those things.
Got it.
This is global, so you basically click the add to Slack, and then this will send you to the Slack integration part, which is basically covered by the Slack engine itself. So from there on, Slack will just guide you through how to go the whole process.
If I were to deploy this and use Slack, if I was to come back into this dashboard and untick certain items, does that mean I've got to reconnect to Slack, or will it? No, that's all good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's real time, as it were. Right, Alex has asked about the support for other CMSs. So, for example, he's mentioning Drupal and Joomla. He says, "What about support?" I mean, we know it does support them. Is there anything special about the situation? Do you have a Drupal module, for example?
So we only built a plugin like WordPress has for WordPress. So everything else, all the other PHP applications are running on the same PHP native agent which you connect your website with. So basically, Drupal, Joomla, and everything works with a slightly different way. But there's if you add a let's say Joomla or Drupal site, it will guide you through the same way as it did for the WordPress. But the installation method is a bit different. You have to get your hands a bit more dirty and go into the FTP and all that. Okay.
As we are the WP Builds podcast, we're not going to dwell too long on that, but it does have the capability to be a firewall.
We have a lot of users who are using it for Magento and Drupal and for different kind of PHP applications.
Perfect. Okay. Do you intend, Luciano, I hope I've said that correctly. Luciano says, do you intend to add some vulnerability tests such as SQL injection and others?
Yeah, we don't really want to start doing that kind of tests. We mainly focus on the component security in general to actually, we do research based on some of the popular components that are used on the websites, as you probably have heard from the past weeks from the news and all, when we have done discoveries. So, but in general, we don't want to start doing actual kind of scan testing or, testing SQL injection or, cross-site scripting against your website. And it wouldn't even work because our firewall, if it's on, then, you will just get it blocked. We rather instead we keep an eye on all the software versions that are used in our network, and if someone is finding anything that is connected to this library or to this component, then we basically alert you right away. So it's kind of a different approach, but you will know if a plugin you're using is vulnerable.
Yeah. There are no more questions. I think we probably answered 8 or 9 there, so that was great. And we had quite a lot of people on the call. Just another quick one before we go. Let me show you that offer thing again. There it is. Use the code WPBUILDS to get yourself or your boss, depending on who you are, 50% off the first year of your account. I haven't written it. Oh, yes, I have it. That code will run out on the last day of this month. So you've basically got yourself a week to try and redeem it.
And it's very generous.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't done these kind of promotions at all, kind of, besides after launch, which we did on AppSumo. But after that, this is, I think you should kind of look into it, because I don't know when there's going to be next time where we do this kind of promotion. Oh,
well, that's incredible, and very nice of you to offer it to our listeners. So yeah, if you are, I mean, the nice thing is there he is. There's Oliver, right? He's a real guy with a real company which has a real good product. So I would say, if you are tired with your current solution, or you don't have any solution at all and you have a need for this, make use of it, because it's not going to be around for long. You've got a week, and the pricing is significantly less for the first year. So that's really nice. There are no more questions. So if it's all right with everybody, I will click stop and say thank you so much for joining us today, Oliver. Really appreciate it. I'm sure that our members who've attended, that's Jean just said, really love this tool, strongly recommend it. The team is great and knowledgeable. Oliver made the best malware removal tutorial. Well, that's great. Thank you. And a few
I published because we were, as an agency, we were also offering malware removal services for a while. And at one point, I was just thinking that people should rather, protect their websites and, prevent these kind of issues. And I don't really want to do these malware removal jobs too much. So I decided to write a whole tutorial about my own kind of methodology, how I kind of clean the websites up that doesn't have the option to just restore from backup or to rebuild it once again. So thanks. I put a lot of time into this tutorial.
Oh, that's great. Well, Jean-Francois clearly read every last word of it. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording right about now.